Arise, giving all praises to Allah, Father of the universe, cherisher and sustainer of all the boundless universes. We extend the highest honors to his holy divine prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Islam. Extend high honors as well to his forerunner, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the founder of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, who did indeed warn and stir up the nations. Islam. We extend high honors as well to the Moorish flag, the red flag with the green 5-pointed star in the center, the 5 points representing love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. These are the 5 highest principles known to man. Islam. We extend high honors as well to the American flag, also known as the Stars and Stripes. This flag exists as a constant reminder that the European nations owe you the Moors with compound interest. Islam. Extending honors to the noble Sheik staff, noble Vanguard staff who keep the peace, and giving honors to you, the hills and bays, for there is no Moorish movement without you. Islam. How's everyone on the holy night? Praise Allah. Praise Allah. Before I go into my set measure, I just have some reflection from my day. By trade I'm a barber, and I have different people from all walks of life come in, dialogue, and aside from patronizing the business, we talk. You get invested, in your brothers and sisters. Well, one of my customers some years back was actually murdered. There was a folly situation gone bad, and the brother lost his life. The brother had 6 children. His oldest son, at the time of his father losing his life, was like 13. He went to, left Georgia and went back to Pennsylvania to go live with his mother. I hadn't seen him in all these years. So his younger brother called me today. He was like, before you leave the shop, I got somebody I want you to see. I said, no, just don't leave. It's all right, cool. So he came. See, he has with him, this young brother, real long locks, real tall, So I was like, he's like, you don't recognize him? I was like, nah. He said, man, you don't even know who I am, but I remember you. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, wow, he looked just like his father, right? Why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because we have a tendency to forget that, we have a responsibility to make sure that our children, our genealogy, has the degrees that they need because they are you reincarnated. Islam? Now, why should our children, once they get older, this young man right here, Brother Nazar, Islam, boy, thank you for coming to Temple class. Okay? Why should this young man, when he gets older, have to repeat any of the mistakes? Parents make mistakes, right? We all make them. Why should he, and I'm not picking out, singling him out, but I'm just saying, why should he have to make any of the mistakes that his parents made or any of his forefathers made? Islam? He should be handed down principles and virtues and lessons on character and so on and so forth. So that way, he can't say that he didn't know. Islam? The option is his, but at least he has options. All right? And this is, one of the main reasons why the Prophet established the Moorish Science Temple of America, to give a people who had everything stripped from them options. Okay? Options to function as a nation state if you so chose. Options to be noble if you so chose. Options to be virtuous if you so chose. Islam? Options to be a citizen if you so chose. All right? But all of this goes for naught if we don't take become benefactors of what was handed down to us, because indeed we were handed down a legacy. So the Prophet has a lesson. He says, it's up to man to make or mar his fortune. Right? So indeed the Prophet gave us a wealthy, abundant inheritance in handing this Moorish divine national movement to us. Islam, Moors?
Islam.
Right? I'd like to introduce a word, and then I'm going to go to the forerunner and then to the Prophet. Right? You'll notice that amongst the global ummah, which is the global community of Muslims all over the world, you'll notice that they have the principle down pat, which is prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. Right? They're going to do for their own before they do for you. And you could be Muslim all day long. You could be under this creed here. La ilaha illallah. There is no God but Allah. You could say that. You could declare it. You could proclaim it. You can end the mosque. Right? But when it boils down to it, they're going to ride with their own first. Right? And if you notice, if you've been around foreign nationals that are Muslim, you notice they all have this principle, right? They have this principle, but they're operating under a concept that we're ignorant of. We're not taught this. We're taught the religious rites. We're taught the salats and the Ramadan, which is all beautiful because that's divine law, right? But we're not taught this word here. This word is asabiya. Right? Asabiya in Arabic. It's an Arabic word. Asabiya means, it says, asabiya refers to social solidarity with an emphasis on unity, group consciousness, and a sense of shared purpose and social cohesion. Originally in a context of tribalism and clanism, it was a familiar term in the pre-Islamic era, but became popularized in Ibn Khaldun's Muqaddimah. That's one of your forefathers, Ibn Khaldun. He was a chronologist. He used to write like these histories of dynasties during the Moorish Empire, right? It says, where it described as the fundamental bond of human society, the basic motive force of history. Asabiya is neither nomadic nor based on blood relations. Rather, it resembles philosophy of classical republicanism. In the modern period, the term is generally analogous to solidarity. However, the term is often negatively associated because it can sometimes suggest loyalty to one's group regardless of circumstances or partisanship. So that means no matter what, you ride with your own. Islam, as Moorish Americans, we're not always going to agree, right? As Moorish Americans, we may fall out of sync with one another, right? We might not agree on certain measures or certain interpretations of the Prophet's lessons and so on and so forth, right? But nevertheless, we are still bound by cords because we are living things. Islam, right? We still bound by the same holy and divine Prophet that came specifically to us. Now, if you take that paragraph I just read and reflect back on what the chairman just demonstrated as social duties, it reads the same, right? So now with what the Prophet gave us, we have the same degrees under the sun of the concept of asabiya, but it was given to us under the concept of social duty. Islam? So now, as a Moorish American, once you swallow, and digest the Prophet's lessons, and you go on against, amongst other foreign national Muslims, now you can speak as equals, because now y'all working off the same degrees. Islam? All right? But if you don't have this and you just, Negro, black, and colored, but you just happen to have, proclaimed Islam, right? They'll realize that you don't have a nationality and they'll begin to move circles around you. Build circles around you. Islam? Let me demonstrate the forerunner. I'm not going to keep y'all long tonight. I'm just going to hit, a few points, right? This is from a Message to the People, Marcus Garvey. It's on a lesson of character, right? Now, in nation building, how important is character? Because again, right, if you have that, that tribal consciousness, that asabiya principle working, or that social duty principle working, right? One thing that is a manifest of you mastering that degree is your character. Is your word being your bond? Speaking the truth regardless to whom or what. Islam? Right? I pose a question, on Facebook. I treat Facebook like a survey. I poll people, so I can put out questions and see how they respond. And I put one post, I said, as a Moorish American, to be a Moorish American, do you have to have character? Now that seems pretty obvious, right? That seems obvious, but see, y'all the prophets Moors. All right? Unfortunately, there was a lot of people proclaiming Moorish American, the Prophet Bays and Ills on their names. They said, no, to be Moorish American, that's descent nature. You don't have that. That has nothing to do with character and virtue. Right? But when you trace yourself back so you can know backwards through the ages, right? Weren't your forefathers who you descended from, didn't they have character? Didn't they demonstrate virtue? The mother of all, of all virtues and the harmonies of life, breeding justice, mercy, love, and right? Islam? All right? But the forerunner says this on character. And then, ironically, this is lesson number 7 in the book. Character. Men and women who want to be of use to themselves and humanity must have good character. Good character means the demonstration of the kind of behavior that meets the moral precepts of a civilization. The standard is laid down by the society of the time in which you live and which forms a part of and guides that very character. If you do not live up to those standards in the highest sense, you will not be respected by that society. As a more scientific America, we realize we have our own society, correct? Correct. All right. Says your mission in that society, in this society for useful work will fall to pieces. The greatest prop to character is honesty, right? Prophet says, of thy external parts are what? Health, vigor, and proportion, right? What health is to the body, honesty is to the soul. Islam says, honesty is the best policy. Let no one believe that you are dishonest. If they believe you are dishonest, you are doomed. You will never be able to rise to a position of respect and trust except by some mere accident. You must live so clean that everybody can see the cleanliness of your life. And this is something to aspire to, right? You know, because it's a journey. You know, we all saw them, right? But at the same time, you must have a standard to aspire to. Because if you don't put that up there, you just be living a beast life. Right. Islam? Never let the people believe you are a liar, but the contrary, let them believe that you always speak the truth and live up to it. Any conduct that your community or society condemns, be careful not to violate that rule or law, because you will lose the respect of your community. The Prophet says, never do anything that causes the public to disagree with you. Same principle. Never borrow money unless you intend to pay it back. Pay it back as quickly as you can. If you give excuses when you should be paying, those you are obligated to will think you are a trickster. Even though you subsequently pay them, they will loathe to trust you a second time. The Prophet has this in his general laws. He says, even if you have to make sacrifices, pay your debts. Because when you don't pay your debts, people talk about it, and sooner or later, everybody in the community knows about it, and you are ruined. It is a good policy to keep a good and honorable name. It is good credit. People will trust you on a good name. They will ask you for cash right on the spot and count it to the last farthing if your name is bad. People who trust you will almost take money from you without counting it. When you have lost that much confidence, you are a marked object, and you may as well move from that town or city or community to start life afresh somewhere else where nobody knows you, where you may practice the higher principles and retrieve your name. Never move into a nearby or adjoining community if you have lost your name. In the first place, go far away from it. No leader who is dishonest can hold his leadership. Nobody will follow him. Let your good character shine so that men will see it and talk about it. Morality is upheld everywhere in civilization. Islam? So anywhere there's a civilized government working, there's character working. All right? Don't be immoral in your community. Somebody will tell on you and expose you. And the homes of the community will be closed against you, and respectable people will shun you. If you have to be immoral because your nature is weak, then hide it. Islam? Keep it within closed doors and be sure nobody knows about it. If you read good books and think loftily, you will not be immoral. If you are intelligent, you will not be immoral, because immorality leads to disease, pain, and suffering, and ultimately leads to premature death. He's demonstrating Buddha right there, where Buddha says desire leads to suffering. Islam? An immoral person cannot find good company, because no good person wants to take chances with immorality. Those who cater to your immorality must be people who have no character or who have nothing to lose. They must either be sick or diseased themselves and therefore don't care. No respectable woman or man who cares about his or her future is going to be indiscriminate, because that is taking chances. Therefore, when you find a person of immoral habits, it is someone who has lost all proportions of decency and health and doesn't care. Such a person is a social danger, right? They have a term in law called public enemy, right? Right? They even have a Trading with the Enemy Act, right? Sensible people do not give themselves away for nothing, but sick people and diseased people, like a drowning man, catch at a straw. Never be seen with those people in your community. Never be seen with a person of bad character. You will be roped in, and even though your character is good, it will also suffer because of your association with that person. That's the forerunner. See, we give honors to Marcus Garvey, but are we studying, the forerunner's works? Right? See, because again, like, this is the civic side of the movie. Right? So ones will say, the Prophet, founds Moorish Temple of Science 1926. He's in Chicago 25 and officially started it, but filed paperwork 26. Right? 1928 comes, files Moorish Science Temple of America. Right? July 20th, 1928, July 20th, 1929, to the day that he founded it, he passed form. So ones will say, oh, well, the Prophet didn't finish his work. Allah forbid it. The Prophet did everything he was supposed to do. Because they came in twos. It was Garvey and Giraldi. Right? So Garvey did a lot of the work that the Prophet didn't have to do on the civic side. Already demonstrated, to the point where those numbers haven't been matched to this day. Islam? But all the Prophet had to do, all Garvey was missing was nationality and divine creed. That's the only thing he was missing. And, if you really know Garvey, you'll know he was a closet Muslim. Right? He was a Christian out front, but he was a Prince-Hall Mason. You gotta hang that out front. Right? But in his dealings, you can clearly see this man was a Muslim. Islam was?
Islam.
Right? Says, Most of the deformities in the community are the result of immoral and loose people cutting loose. Sick people never produce good children. Disease in man is destructive. It destroys the species and wrecks the mind of man. The first thought a healthy man has of a poor-minded man is that his parents were immoral and stamped their immorality on him, which he is to carry through the world by his particular affectation, be it in poor mentality or in a nervous disability. Example. There's a lot of stuff in the news right now about Quincy Jones, that particular interview that he did. So to give the brother a fair shout out, I watched about 10 Quincy Jones interviews, just different ones he did throughout the years. One thing about Quincy Jones' mother, when he was younger, was committed to an insane asylum. They came and dragged them, him and his brothers, they came and dragged their mother out of the home in front of them and put her in a straitjacket in front of them. They saw that, drug her off, right? So the community, kids are cruel, right? Yeah. Making jokes about it. And so if they ever let your mother out of the insane asylum, she's gonna kill y'all in the streets, right? That's some kids were saying about it, teasing them. Well, they eventually let her out. And when they let her out, they actually ran into her. He's from Chicago. Ran into her, in the streets or whatever. They, mommy, he ran up to her. She grabbed like some scissors and chased him and literally tried to kill him. So he has 7 children by like 5 different women, right? Right now he has 22 girlfriends all over the planet, right? But when you got mommy issues, right? When you got mommy issues, you're trying to fill that void. You see what I'm saying? So that's that stamp. See, no matter what he's 85 now, 83, something like that. But no matter what, that stamp from his childhood is still on him as the supreme elder, right? Still suffering from those mother issues stamped from him at birth or from as a childhood, right? It says, never be a public drunkard. Don't drink inordinately. You may contract a disease by over drinking. Go to the chapter of rich and poor in your Quran, Prophet. And water your brain to that of deterioration. Don't take drugs or narcotics as a habit. They will have the same effect. Be temperate in everything you do. He's demonstrating degrees of temperance, right? And that's moderation, okay? It says, learn self-control. By self-control, you can conquer every bad habit. You can do so by concentrating on the thought always that the habit is bad and will ruin you. Say to yourself, I shall not be ruined. I shall conquer my bad habit. Say this and repeat it day after day until you conquer the habit. Let the habit be your opponent and then fight your opponent and beat it. Without a foe, a soldier never knows. Never give up until you conquer. If you follow this rule, you will beat down every bad habit. Always see the injury that the bad habit will do to you. If you don't want that injury to your health, to your mind and body to bring pain, worry, and unhappiness, then fight it to the death. This is what is called man mastering himself. That's Garvey, okay? Anything that is not good, rise above it and be its master. Don't be a public nuisance. Don't go out in public untidy or poorly dressed. Always keep a good and clean personality. You've seen them pictures of brothers back from the 20s and 30s, where they didn't go to the store unless they had a 3-piece suit on. I'm not saying that you have to do that in this day and time, right? But the mentality of dignity, that's what you come from. You know what I'm saying? You don't come from no bums. You don't come from like some derelicts on the corner. Islam, I'm saying that respectfully. You come from people that my father, was 89 when he passed. And to the day that he passed, if you popped up at his house on a surprise visit, he opened the door, Joe got some slacks, a t-shirt, and some suspenders with the flyest slippers you ever seen in your life. Just lounging around the house in slacks. You see what I'm saying? That's the era that he comes from, right? So we must always remember the stature, the royal, and not to mention on the Moorish side, you see what you come from, the pedigree you come from. Islam, that's what the Prophet wanted for his Moors. That's what Garvey is trying to raise. He said the Negro needed improvement. The Universal Negro Improvement Association. Islam? Always bathe your skin, keep your body clean with water, right? Always bathe your skin and do so at least once a day. If it is not convenient, bathe at least 3 times a week. Because people in different circumstances, right? A dirty body emits bad odor and causes people to shun you. If you know you are dirty, you lose confidence in yourself. When you approach other people, you are afraid that they are going to find out that you are not clean. It makes you nervous and you lose your balance and sense of proportion. When a man is clean in body, appearance, and mind, he feels like a giant and a master. He is afraid of nothing. If he lacks these qualities, he cringes, bows, and hides. he is never himself. Never eat like a hog, even in private. A custom or habit will develop on you and you will do it unconsciously. Observe good manners in eating and drinking when you go amongst company. Prophet says, manners are the path to good old age. That's in your Quran. If you are invited to dine with friends or you are hungry, eat a little before you get to the dinner so as to not show how hungry you are. It's called social graces, right? Anybody heard of this woman, this European back in the day called Emily Post? Now people, they drink a glass. My wife gets on me about this. I drink it, my pinky goes up. That's that, your Emily Post, you know what I'm saying? Or you don't put your elbows on the table while you eat, Emily Post. You know what I'm saying? And that's stuff they brought from Britain, right? But the layman, the common man of the English didn't have that. That was the aristocracy. Islam. Believe it or not, all this goes into being a Moor. Islam. So we talk about all this, like, the law and the history and the dates, the government. Well, how about if you know all that and you're still a savage? Are you still a Moor? Or will you be perceived as a Moor for those who know what Moors are? Islam? All right. It says, if you eat up everything, your host will talk about you when you're gone. He or she and the rest of their friends will talk about your gluttony, and you may never be invited the second time. I remember one time we went out, one of my former master teachers went out, he took us out to eat, and it was a couples thing. So the couple, like your wife was sitting across from you, type of thing. So he, one of the brothers, he ate all his food. His wife was kind of picking on her plate. And he's like, do you want that? She's like, nah. He grabbed her plate and just into his plate and ate the whole table, stopped and just looked at it. Wow. Islam? And we had to give him a lesson on barbarity in the moment. A lot of people don't know no better. Islam? See, the Moor Science Temple of America exists to help you break a lifetime full of bad habits. It's stuff we learned growing up we had no business learning, right? When you come in the temple gates, you got to unlearn all that stuff, and it's a hard process. Because once you experience something, it's hard to unexperience it. Once you see something, it's hard to unsee it. You've seen it, it's in there. Islam? Be careful, they talk about, you ever seen the Buddhist statues and the Buddhist monks' eyes are closed? That's because he's guarding what they call the sense gates. The sense gates are your eyes, nose, your mouth, and your ears. You got to guard, you got to put all that on lockdown, because once something gets inside of you, it's almost like a purge you got to go through to get it out. Islam? It says, let me hit that line again. He or she and the rest of their friends will talk about your gluttony, and you may never be invited the second time. Be courteous and gentlemanly, or womanly, everywhere. Be kind to and practice respect for all children. Develop the habit of playing with children and treating them decently. The news will spread. Children will tell their parents, and the parents will get to love you. Right? If you are angry to the point of fighting, count 10 and move off. If it is your wife, family, relatives, or even friends, take your hat and go for a walk. Inhale the fresh air, look at the sky, landscape, flowers, and stars, and new thoughts will come into your mind. You will forget your anger. Go to your room, lock yourself in, and take a book of poetry from your shelf, and read the beautiful thoughts of the past. Brother Raphael, see the blue book right over there? Under that book, there's a set of papers. Could you hand that to me, please? Yes. Thank you very much. Also one paper. You may even read the Bible for consolation. Read the book of Proverbs and the Psalms, and you will come back to normal. In your Quran, it talks about, Jesus said with Quran and read the Jewish Psalms, right? It says, never wear clothes as if you were sleeping in them. To do so, it makes a woman suspicious and it suggests untidiness to men. Never wear a dirty collar or a dirty pair of shoes. Keep your fingernails clean and your teeth clean. Take salts or purgatives at least twice a week to keep your system clean, flush your system out. It helps to give you clear thought and vision, and it keeps your health in a perfect state. A dirty breath is due to a foul stomach. This was in the 20s. People will shun you if your breath is dirty. You may notice people drawing away from the faces of other people when they are talking immediately to them. It's because such people have foul breath. It betrays you to the person and to all who are observing. Sometimes, by keeping a foul breath, this was funny, a tiny fly hovers around your mouth and everyone knows that that your breath is foul. That's hilarious. That's some strong breath when flies. This Moore must have seen that. You know, I'm 45, I haven't seen that in my years, but he documented that. It's in the record, right? Flies, boy. Who was that? We gotta take a pause for the cause to appreciate that. Like, who was that? Like, and what do you do when you see the flies buzzing around somebody's mouth? Like, just observe, like, take a lean back, like, you know. It says, remember, a leader must be honest. You have your character to maintain it. You can maintain it only by good conduct. Therefore, never try to fool anyone or deceive anybody. Never fabricate nor falsify. If the thought should ever come to you, count the consequence and the risk. It may be your last chance, and it may be your first mistake. Most men suffer from their first mistake, from which they never recover. Now, the subsequent paragraphs he goes into mentioning the UNIA, but the same principles, you know, apply to the MSTFA. So I'll just, supplant that. It says, in working for the MSTFA, prefer death to stealing from the MSTFA. If you steal from the MSTFA, hundreds of millions of people will concentrate on you when they find out, and you will be exposed if you are found out. They will have your picture before them to hate, despise, curse, and I can't say the last word he said. Therefore, play honest with the MSTFA and its principles all the time, because you are dealing with the destiny of a race. As you will not steal from the MSTFA, do not encourage anyone to steal. Do not shield anyone in stealing, expose him. Life is too short to reform a thief. If he steals once, he will steal again. Don't pardon him when he steals from the MSTFA, because we must speed up to get to the end. To waste time to correct the thief is to hold up the program of the organization. Get him out of the way and move on. Before you steal from the MSTFA, beg the MSTFA. Ask help from the MSTFA, but never, never steal. And I'll yield there, right? This book right here is kind of like the added lessons that were declassified from the UNIA, and some are fit to come across the podium and some aren't. So you'll notice in times, you know, as I demonstrate from it, sometimes I'll pause at a paragraph like, now that can't come across right now. Once I have to mature. Islam? But do those lessons make sense to you all? You know, as regarding the importance of character, right? You know, regarding the importance of taking care of yourself. You know, you don't want those flies right there. Islam? Right? Next, I want to go to chapter 5, the Holy Quran, More Science Temple of America, which is in conjunction with, you know, the forerunner, what he just demonstrated. Chapter 5. That's chapter V, the Roman numerals, right? It says, the great feast of Pesach was ended, and the Nazarenes were journeying toward their homes. And they were in Samaria, and Mary said, where is my son? No one had seen the boy. And Joseph sought among their kindred who were on their way to Galilee, but they had seen him not. Then Joseph, Mary, and a son of Zebedee returned and sought throughout all Jerusalem, but could find him not. And Mary asked the guards, had they seen Jesus, a little boy about 12 years old? The guards replied, yes, he is in the temple now, disputing with the doctors of the law. Now, you got to reflect on that, because the doctors of the law are the ones that in the modern Hebrew is called rabbi, or rabbi, right? These ones, like, you become an elder in that culture like when you're 52 years old, you know, as a respected elder, right? Now, these are men that have studied law their whole lives, right? And in the temple is a boy of 12 years old, which is on the borderline of being a man in that culture, right? Disputing with men who have been studying Torah and law and instructions their whole life. Islam? So I said something about this one that was later in the text called the day star from on high. Islam? But it says, and they went in and found him as the guards had said. And Mary said, why, Jesus? Why do you treat your parents thus? Lo, we have sought 2 days for you. We feared that some great harm had overtaken you. And Jesus said, do you not know that I must be about my Father's work? Islam? That's the focus that the child had. But he went round and pressed the hand of every doctor of the law and said, I trust that we meet again. Right? That's a qualification for Moore's pressing hands. Right? It says, and then he went forth with his parents on their way to Nazareth. And when they reached their home, he wrought with Joseph as a carpenter. Keep in mind, too, that, you know, Nazareth was the hood. right? You know, remember when, you know, Jesus' prophethood became announced in the Piscean record, the Bible, you know, people laughed at him. You know, can anything good come from Nazareth? That's like, can anything good come from Cleveland Avenue? You a Sheik? What? Islam? So they was on their way back to the hood, okay? But these are the lessons they was going on there. We won't go over with that. It says one day as he was bringing forth tools for work, he said, these tools remind me of the ones we handle in the workshop of the mind, where things are made of thought and where we build up character. Islam? Most Americans have to have character? Absolutely. Right? We use the square to measure all our lines, to straighten out the crooked places of the way, and make the corners of our conduct square. We use the compass to draw circles around our passions and keep them in the bounds of righteousness. We use the axe to cut away the knotty, useless, and ungainly parts and make the character symmetrical. We use the hammer to drive home the truth and pound it in until it's part of every part. We use the plane to smooth the rough, uneven surface of joint and block and board that go to build the temple for the truth. The chisel, the line, the plummet, and the saw all have their uses in the workshop of the mind. And then this ladder with its trinity of steps, faith, hope, and love. On it we climb up to the dome of purity and life. And on the 12-step ladder we ascend until we reach the pinnacle of that which life is spent to build the temple of the perfected man. Islam? Surely Allah speaks the truth through his holy divine prophet, Noble Driver. Islam? Right there, the prophet demonstrated the same thing the forerunner demonstrated in his chapter called character. It's in conjunction, it's the same message. Islam? One thing, it was two different applications of how they demonstrated. Same thing with John the Baptist and Jesus in ancient times. You see what I'm saying? John the Baptist, like, you know, we read about that stuff now, but man, the average person couldn't have been around John the Baptist back then, according to the description. Yeah. So wild brother. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he wasn't politically correct in speech. He wasn't like this groom type brother. This brother got locks, you know, camel hair garment. He's just a wild, lived in the woods. You know what I'm saying? So if he lives in the woods, he don't have social racism. You know what I'm saying? So we come out just blasting, right? Whereas Jesus been amongst the people, you know, hanging with the thieves and the courtesans, and, right? Not doing what they do, but giving them the degrees on the level that they on. Islam? All right? So, you know, same thing. Garvey, you know what I mean? Garvey's demonstrating all through the, you know, all over the place. He, you know, like you've heard Garvey speak before, right? You know, and he, you know, W.E. Du Bois and him had these, you know, knock down, drag out arguments. Du Bois used to call him a big black gorilla. Yeah. Every time he took the podium, you know, and he'd go back and forth or whatever, because to them, Garvey didn't have the social graces of the Boule elite. He wasn't one of them, you know, so they was trying to shut him down. But the Prophet Noble Ali spoke in degrees, because he had gone through his trials in the East. He came back to bring the degrees for us, so he spoke in degrees because he knew as soon as he started demonstrating, his time was limited. Islam? So he had to put it in such a way where you could unfold it and think for yourself. See, this movement is a thinking movement. It's not a movement where, you know, you just follow the Grand Sheik around. You know, this is a movement where you have to apply those tools to your own situation and pull your own self up. Right? And these lessons, truth be told, you're not to take these lessons and beat nobody over the head with, right? You're to introduce them to it, right? And then let nature take its course. Because now, they can't say they didn't know. Because we all know the questions of the ages is, what's your nationality? Islam? There's a video circulating now on Facebook, man. It's a brother on the People's Court. Did y'all see this? Yeah. With his fez on. Brother Joseph, I thought it was you. This brother came out the court. You know how the Europeans in the hallway on the People's Court? And he's standing there with the mic, and the more came out, I swear he looked tall, thin, brothers like you. He came out, it was like, he was like, yeah, he can. He came out, he stood the whole time like this, how are you? Yes. You know, it's like, so who are you? And my man ran Act 6, second half of Act 6 straight down, you know? Yeah. And I mean, he was just upright and noble the whole time, you know? And that's how you're supposed to be. Like, when asked who he was, he immediately jumped into the prophet. He didn't go into himself. Well, who I think I am now. Give him the prophet up front immediately. Islam? That's how urgent it is, because you don't have the time. The attention span of people nowadays is short. So you gotta give them Noble Ali. It says, keep the prophet out front, right? You know, if you keep the prophet out front, he'll draw all people unto him. Islam? And that's not spookism. We know that to be true because his example was pristine. Oh well, we fall sometimes. That's about how you get up. right? But that's my measure for the day. When like I said, I wasn't going to be long. I have 2 more sections I'd like to draw from. Yeah. Okay. Prophet says in Moorish literature, he says, and we've heard this before, but we got to keep it on the frontal lobe of our brains. So there is number one supreme issue for my people to use to redeem that which was lost, and that is through the above statements. Then the lion and the lamb can lay down together in yonder hills, and neither will be harmed, because love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice will be reigning in this land. In those days, the United States will be one of the greatest and civilized, prosperous governments of the world. But if the above principles are not carried out by the citizens and my people in this government, see, by the citizens and my people, because at that point our people weren't citizens. Because to be a citizen, you must proclaim your nationality. Now people haven't proclaimed it as of yet. Islam? She says, the worst is yet to come, because the great God of the universe is not pleased with the works that are being performed in North America by my people. And this great sin must be removed from the land to save it from enormous earthquakes, diseases, etc. And I, the prophet, do hereby believe that this administration of the government being more wisely prepared by more genius citizens that believe in their free national constitution and laws, and through the help of such classes of citizens, he just qualifies something that there are classes of citizens. All citizenship is not alike, there's classes of them. Okay? I, the prophet, truly believe that my people will find the true and divine way of their forefathers and learn to stop serving the carnal customs and merely ideas of man that have never done them any good, but have always harmed them. That's that, the anti-character stuff. That's all of that. It's always harmed us, but we love it, right? Because we're addicted to misery. Islam, right? So one thing I was demonstrating with a brother today, the fact that the mind doesn't like challenges. The mind likes comfort, right? So for you to grow, you must challenge the mind. You see what I'm saying? Anybody ever been out of shape for a long time to get back to working out? Right? And you're running and you feel like your lungs are about to come out through your mouth, right? And you're like, I'm gonna quit, I'm just stop, whatever. There's a part of you like, nah, that small still voice, keep going. But that loud voice, stop, you idiot, you're gonna die. No, you're not. Islam? But you gotta challenge yourself. Islam? So I, the prophet, am hereby calling aloud with a divine plea to all true American citizens to help me remove this great sin which has been committed and is being practiced by my people in the United States of America, because they know it is not the true and divine way, and without understanding they have fallen from the true light into the utter darkness of sin. There's the brother Dr. Laila Africa. One of his videos I was watching last night, he demonstrated that scientifically, because you have melanin, right, and that he said on top of your spinal cord, where your spinal cord meets your brain, there are 12 centers, 12 nerves that come out right there, whereas Europeans only have 4. But those 12, what they call the 12 occult nerves right there, give you perfect harmony between the left and right hemispheres of your brain. So what happens is it's impossible for you to utter a statement without putting a spiritual concept with it. You see what I'm saying? So even if you're going through hard economic times, you immediately go to prayer. God, well, God, I'm not worried about it because I know God's going to bless them. You see what I'm saying? There's people on the planet that can't do that. Islam? Because that's when the prophet says that they know it is not the true and divine way. Because, of course, we can teach you because you haven't been taught before, but even if you weren't taught, you know it's wrong to slap your mouth. You know it's wrong to steal because when you first stole, I've stolen before. When I first did, my heart rate picked up, palms got sweaty, you get extra aware. All the bells and whistles to let you know, don't steal that candy bar. And then plus when I got caught, my mom knocked the mess out of me, but that's another story. Islam? But these things are encoded in your DNA. Islam? Because you're a holy people. You're the Moabites of my father. Islam? Says, and there is not a nation on earth today that will recognize them socially, religiously, politically, or economically, etc., in their present condition of their endeavorment, in which they themselves try to force on a civilized world. I don't care how many, respectfully, I don't care how many black caucuses you have, NAACPs, race rallies, rallies that you cry because your son got shot. No, nobody cares because you still Negro, black, and colored. No one owes anything to you under that. Islam? says, they will not refrain from their sinful ways of action, and their deeds have brought Jim Crowism, segregation, and everything that brings harm to human beings on earth. And they have fought the Southerner for all these great misuses. You know, we don't use the term redneck. We say Southerner. Right? For all these great misuses, because I have traveled the South and have examined the conditions there, and is the works of my people continuously practicing things which brings dishonor, disgrace, and disrespect to any nation that lives the life. And I am hereby calling upon all true American citizens for moral support and finance to help me in my great missionary work to bring my people out of darkness into the marvelous light from the prophet. Islam wars? Islam. So again, there's no way of getting around character, you know, because when you're not demonstrating your character, it inhibits the work that you're called to do. Islam? I'd like to read a slight poem, and this is the last thing, well, the second to last thing I'm going to read after this will be the final one. But this is a poem that was written by some of your Moorish forefathers. You know, going back, I don't have a date for it, but I know it was written before the 80s. It's a Moorish American Muslim, right? It's called Signs and Wonders, okay? Because the arts is part of who you are, right? So when you civilize, you know, now you have time to channel the lofty thoughts that Allah is sending you. Islam? Signs and Wonders. To our forefathers. In the midst of the desert land, 3 wonders stand in the sand, guarded by a watchful man. Understand, understand, understand. They glitter like gold, so massive and old, with mysteries they hold, that never unfold, like wonders untold. Behold, behold, behold. Firm and nigh, standing beyond the watchful eye, like the sun, moon, and stars in the sky. Why? Hear, O Moors, from the western and southern shores, from the holy land of Canaan. Those who wonder, but seek not to find, will always wonder and be left behind. Time. Moors can truly stand longer and stronger than these wonders can. You can. These wonders you see are you and me, standing in time so patiently, faithfully. Praise not these wonders, but praise the Creator of heaven and earth. Praise the Father of all our birth. Praise the great God of the universe. Praise Allah, praise Allah, praise Allah. Islam wars? Islam. And that was channeled, and it says Love and Peace, that was channeled by Brother J. Elliott Ill from El Reno, Oklahoma. Islam? See, like, tracing yourself back through the ages, you know, you get defining the quality of the forefathers that you descend from. You know, y'all don't come from them Negroes, boys. Islam? You know, all the things we used to say that we didn't have, like, think about it, right? The movie Black Panther, right, became Marvel's greatest selling movie, right? Why? Because the average Asiatic knows they're missing something. That's the only reason everybody's flocking about them tickets, because they're thinking they're going to get a piece of their empire back, right? What they're failing to realize is that all they have to do is come home. And that imaginary nation in that movie called Wakanda would become a real thing, and you would know where you descended from and what empire you descended from. Islam? All right? And contrary to popular belief, that was not the first Asiatic movie Marvel put out. It was Blade. Right? Which saved Marvel back then because they were about to go under. Just like in the 70s, the blaxploitation movies of Coffee and Foxy Brown and Superfly and all that saved Hollywood back then. Y'all never stopped saving Europeans. Y'all just on autopilot. Right. Islam? All right? But think about all our people that, I mean, they going out. I saw one you know, showing of Black Panther, and they in there with the drum, and they had dancers and the whole lot. Everybody, this is a time to come together for culture. Let's go to show our people really want culture. This is a big test model to show y'all that the prophet's platform and message is right. Right? So you can't go out there and say the Asiatics don't want the truth. Stop telling that lie, because we just made Marvel almost $1 billion. Right? Now, I heard some saying, you know, matter of fact, I had one of my customers text me this morning. He said, if you haven't seen Black Panther, go see it. Our ancestors would be proud. I beg to differ. The reason I beg to differ was they would not be proud because we didn't do the movie.
Right.
Right? See, your forefathers in ancient times wore gold because they owned the gold mines. They didn't go to Jared's and buy gold, or the De Beers and buy their gold. They owned the gold. Right? They traded salt because they owned the salt mines. Right? They wore silk garments because they owned the silk worms and looms to make the garments. Right? They wasn't going to foreign national buying their garbs and so on and so forth. Islam? So our forefathers would not, and this is my general opinion. General opinion offers no proof of truth, but this is what Allah laid on my heart. Our forefathers would not be proud of us making Europeans $1 billion off our culture. That's called culture vulture. Plotters, purveyors, and the worst that exists, right? But praise Allah, we see, we can view it as a test model. Out of the worst, the wise can find means to do good, right? So even out of this, we can say, you know what? We got to go out there and hit them streets harder. Right? They bring the people back home because they're screaming to the Moors that they want their culture. Islam? And even the actors that played those roles, it was enlightening to them to even be in a position to have to play themselves. So they're really not acting, they're being themselves and no one else. Islam? So that was a call out to you. And the prophet's demonstrating about the descendants of Africa. Right? That whole movie is surrounded by that African concept, right? We have to remember that the Moorish Empire was a global empire, right? Our seat might have been in Morocco, but its influence was global. Islam was? Islam. All right? So, with that, I'll lower the meeting. Islam? Islam. Islam? Islam. 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 Moorish Science Temple of America. Noble Drew Ali founder. Home office, Chicago, Illinois. March 11, 1929. A warning from the prophet to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitating speech while on their jobs, homes, or on the public streets. We advocate peace and not destruction. Stop trying out your cards with the Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards. The cards are for your salvation. Failure of obeying my orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members that seek to hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophets, or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet, and if they lose confidence in their prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. For this is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet, Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet is sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace. Noble Drew Ali. Islam? Islam. Islam? Islam. 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 All praise is due to Allah, the highest of honors to his holy divine prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America, savior of humanity. Islam? Islam. Moors, in closing, there's one thought I'd like to leave you with. As we grow in this movement, we start becoming elders, right? I want you to reflect back to the point in time, the period of time when you first proclaimed your nationality. And those ones that were the elders over the movement then at that point, right? And, the things that you didn't like that they were doing, You come in, you join the movement, you come in, why isn't this being done? Why ain't that being done? Why is this? And why, right? And right now there's a general consensus among the young people in the Moorish Science Temple of America, or just the Moorish Divine National Movement period, ones that might not have joined the temple, but kind of, it's like an online thing, right? Whereas the young people are calling the elders traitors. Mm-hmm. This violates the great covenant of the covenant of the great God Allah, right? Because you can't honor your forefathers and foremothers and then call them traitors. Not being that, in 2001 when I proclaimed my nationality, this was put in my hand. Now, those elders couldn't have been traitors if this stayed alive 80, almost 90 years. Islam? Islam. They did what Allah laid on them to do. If not, it wouldn't have been done. Islam? So no, many of the Moorish elders, I remember we talking about the Moors. You know, the Moors generally, we're not a nice people. We're a mean-spirited people. That's who we are. We're working on it. That's why we have these lessons, right? Lessons to work on, to teach us the science of happiness, right? But generally, we're not a friendly people, right? We scowl walking down the street. You know what I'm saying? You know, don't hate nobody. That's your demeanor. You know what I mean? But look at the pictures of your forefathers. You seen the paintings? You know what I'm saying? They cheesing and showing all their teeth. You know, I show you all the pictures of the prophet, and none of them he smiled. You know, it's just a serious demeanor because he knew who he was coming to, right? But the point is that the elders of the Moorish Science Temple had to be mean to keep, the ones that didn't have the best of intentions away from the prophet. In Genesis chapter 3, verse 24, they talk about the cherubims with the flaming swords faced in every direction, guarding the gates of Eden. Islam? Those elders that I met when I came in the door, they were cherub. You know what I'm saying? They scrutinized you and talked about you and did. You know what I'm saying? So you really had to love the prophet and really want to be in the movement to stay at that point. A lot of times in a lot of different areas around the country, it's still that same way. Islam? All right? But, I noticed that as I'm getting older, I'm beginning to become more serious about what the prophet brought. Because I'm realizing that it's the only thing our people have. Or as the prophet said, the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens. That's a bold statement. Because there's a lot of movements in America, right? But to say that this is the only one for your earthly salvation as American citizens, that's powerful. You got to protect that with your life. There's some ones that feel so much about the prophet, they'll get their forms up. They'll get their bodies up to defend this around the country, right? And it's a solid brotherhood. Real quiet, right? But if you come against the prophet wrong or seek to drag or tear up this foundation, you'll be introduced to another spirit. That's that spirit Garvey was talking about don't steal from the UNIA. Never steal from the UNIA. Don't steal from the UNIA. How many times did he say it? Islam? Because you're dealing with the destiny of a race. Right? And what we're dealing with as a people, if you love your people like I do, you hate to see them suffer. Right? You hate to see them going through the things that they're going through on a daily basis. Right? You hate to hear your people saying that they don't have nowhere to lay their head at. Right? But it's happening daily. And it's not new, it's been going on 2,000 years or more. Jesus said the poor will always be with you. Mm-hmm. Islam? All right? But the point is that, work on those mean-spirited ways, Moses. Right? Because we are the people to save. And the only way we're going to save them is with love. Love is the only savior of the world. Islam? All right? And when you have that joy inside of you, what I'm saying, it'll radiate out, and the people come to you. What are you into? You Muslim, ain't you? How many times you got that?
Yeah.
You Muslim?
Yeah.
You Muslim, ain't you? Yeah, I know you don't eat. You don't eat no pork. And see, then what they start doing, right? They start watching your character, right? So if they see you doing anything that's against being a Muslim,
they gonna tell you.
Brother, you ain't supposed to be doing that. What you doing, brother? I seen you with that sister, brother. You ain't supposed to be with that sister. Brother, Allah wasn't like that, brother. I'm not putting you out there, brother. I know you married, brother. I know you going home after that, right? But they immediately, judge you by the standard of character, right? So that's the thing, it's just like almost like you got to be careful what you do around your kids. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Like, you have these flaws, but you don't want them to see it, to pick it up. You don't want them to pick that up, right? So you try to be the best you around them. You know that ain't you, but you're trying to be the best you. You know that ain't you, right? But you're trying to be the best you around them as possible, right? We got to, use that same formula with our people, because their mentality is childlike. It's fragile. They can be destroyed. A child see the wrong things and they destroy their psyche. It's the same thing with our people. Some of our people have seen those things and can't bounce back. Yes. Right? But you gotta have those lessons. We got the lessons to help them bounce back. Y'all know that, right? There's divine ministry of counsel, where you can speak to people, right? And it's not you, it's the spirit that you come in that's soothing to their spirit to help them come out of that trauma. Islam? But I don't want to burden the Moors, but all I'm gonna say is this right here. This is all of that. This is the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Quran, the Bible, the Code of Hammurabi, the Code of Ornamu, the Constitution of God. This is it. Yeah. This is all of it in one little pamphlet, right? And if you master it and become the emblem on the front. You become that. Being the message that you bring them straight fruition, more then you'll have the answer. The people will know it and they'll come around you. Because when they see you, they don't see you, they see the prophet. Islam. With that, please rise, face the east. The source of which they say all light has come. Hold your feet at a 45-degree angle. Stand in your square, raise 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Invoking the sacred presence of the 7 Elohim. They created everything that ever was, is, and evermore shall be. It's been a long week, more. Let's take 3 deep breaths before we call on the sacred name of Allah. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale in your nose. Exhale out of your mouth. Inhale. Hold it. Exhale. Please repeat after me. Allah,
Allah,
the Father of the universe,
the Father of the universe,
the Father of love,
the Father of love,
truth,
truth,
peace,
peace,
freedom,
freedom,
and justice.
and justice.
Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide, and my salvation, by night, and by day, through His holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. Islam, Moors.
Islam.
Praise Allah. Doc, how you feeling?